Now that you have your lobster cooked, I'm going to show you how to shuck it. When you pull it out of the pot, it's going to be steaming hot, so let it cool for a couple minutes before you pick it up. If you want to use it for a lobster roll or not have it hot, then just throw a little ice on it to make it cool faster. There's meat in many parts of the lobster. These are the claws, the legs, and the tail. There's also meat in the body cavity. We're going to focus right now on the claws, the knuckles, and the tail. First thing I like to do is I like to get the lobster ready before I actually crack into the shell itself. I just break the legs off, simple as that. They just twist right off. Then I like to get into the tail. In the tail, you take your palm here and the head there and the tail there, and you just twist. And you'll feel it just twist right out, and there you go. So what we're looking at right here, this red part, is the roe. Those are actually the eggs of a lobster. If you can see that this roe is still red and very moist, and that's what you want with your cooking. You don't want the roe to be bright orange. It means that you've overcooked your lobster. This green part is called tamale, and the tamale is essentially the liver. Some people like to eat the tamale, some people don't. It's edible, so don't be afraid to eat it. But we're going to put that aside right now. The body, you can take your finger on the bottom and shell on the top and just pull it off. And again, there's more tamale and roe in there and a little bit of what they call head meat right there. This body right here is where there's meat, all in these little crevices. This part is like picking crab, for those of you who know how to pick crab. In order to get at that meat, I take my thumbs and I just rip it right in half. And if you can see, there's all little tiny morsels of meat in here that you can spend your time and pick out. Now it looks kind of like a confusing mess, but if you start picking it apart, you'll see, like there's a nice chunk of meat. And you just work your way down from membrane to membrane and pull it out. So there, right there, you can see there's another little bit of meat. Again, that's like picking crab and is a little bit tedious and a little bit time consuming. The legs also have meat in them. I just ripped it off there. You break it open, you can see there's meat right there. The best way to eat that is basically to take your teeth and drag it right along the leg and it pops out. Delicious. So back to the tail and the claws and the knuckles. With the tail, you can see that it's folded down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my palm and I'm going to scrunch it together and you're going to hear it crack. So that crack just broke the center line here. But in order to get it out of the shell, I flip it over and then I just literally rip it apart. Now the meat will be able to come out more easily. And I'll show you. I just pulled the meat right out. And there's your tail. This little bit of, it's like sinew, that's fine. All of it's edible. You can rinse it off if you like, or you can just go ahead and dip it in a little butter, take a bite. But you'll notice the roe runs all the way down through, so you can peel back that top piece. You can either eat the roe or you can remove the roe. But there you have your tail. In order to get into the claws, it's a little bit harder because these happen to be a hard shell. Massachusetts has both soft shell and hard shell lobsters. They're both delicious, and it's just your preference. There are certain times of year that only hard or soft are available, so you just have to check with your local market to see what's available any time of the year. What I like to do is I like to remove the knuckles from the claw itself, and you just basically pull backwards and it'll pop right off. Then you have your claw here. There's a little bit of liquid in there. You can just let that drain out. I'll remove that part because it just gets to be a little dangerous. Now you have your nutcracker, and this is the most simple tool, just a nutcracker. You put it on the middle part of the shell, give it a crack, and hopefully you can crack through the shell. You can see that. Then I just use my hand. I pull that part off. I like to just use my finger, or you can use a little, just a little fork. You push it right out, and there you have your claw. The same thing is true for the other side. Just rip off the knuckles. I like to break that part, drain the water out. I'll tell you what though, this is a big claw, so what I like to use sometimes is a knife. Use the back of the knife and just give it a little whack. You don't want to go all the way through, just enough to break the shell. And then you have your claw piece that you can just push right out like that. And there's your claw. The knuckles are a little bit harder to get into, but in order to get through, you have to break them apart. There's 3 joints here. One right there. Excuse me, there's two joints, not 3. There's 3 pieces, 2 joints. But now that I have them separated, I like to just take either you can take your little fork and pull it out. I actually like to push it out with my finger because it doesn't fall apart as much. So you get these nice big chunks of lobster meat. And I gotta tell you, my mouth's watering right now, but that's okay. We'll eat it later. So same thing for the other side. Break it apart, and then you can just push through with your finger. You pop it right out, dip it in a little melted butter, and you're ready to go. The important thing is just to dive in there, have fun, and give it a try.